Good evening, fellow Exorcists, and welcome to the Lair of the Film Exorcist. Tonight, Gold Squadron will be reviewing Star Wars The Bad Batch Episode 3, Replacements. The Bad Batch gets stuck on a desolate moon. Now tonight, our buddy Clay kind of dropped out, so we were just gonna do it with me, Chris, and Jesus? So, but then, I passed out last night, so, Chris can't be here because he's at work, so, it's just gonna be me and Jesus this episode, so, now, before we move on to our opinion, I'd like to just announce that our video is sponsored by Animal, so go buy yourself some amazing low-priced anime merch, including cute figurines, brighten up your collection, and every time you use the code FILM, you'll get 5% off your purchases. Now, Replacements. It was a pretty dark episode, I gotta say. I mean, we saw the first official versions of the Stormtroopers. It's possible we may have even seen the groundwork for Inferno Squad. And we ended up seeing some innocent people getting killed.
Yeah, it was definitely something darker. Honestly, I was very content with the episode. I actually liked the title of it because we're getting to see how Crosshair is having to adjust, I guess you could say, to this new lifestyle. And I just thought it was a very good episode.
Is he here yet? No, not yet, but he should be here soon.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Crosshair's rethinking a bit of his choices, because you could see near the end where he just felt so distraught because he wasn't fighting with his brothers, and he's wondering, did I do the right thing in killing that one guy? Was any of this I was doing actually the right thing to do? I mean, I feel like he's kind of questioning his loyalties at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I also found it interesting that the other clones were all about killing this creature, and Omega is the one that could figure out how to beat it from a certain point of view, beating it without actually killing it. I mean, they did mention that... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that she noticed Hunter or Tech mentioning that it was a energy dragon who feasts on energy, so pretty smart to use the power cell of the flashlight.
Right, yeah, I think that was I don't think it was intentional. I think that she kind of realized, based on the situation, that she needed to give the dragon the flashlight. And I think that for Hunter and the squad, I think it would have been, they were more willing to kill it because, I mean, you gotta think that it's kind of like what was said in last week's episode, where they're soldiers, she's not. So maybe being a child, she would have resorted to killing it had it been her last resort, but I think that the creature itself was probably more wanting the energy rather than to attack a person. And the reason why it attacked Hunter was because it saw it as a threat.
But you gotta think, these are clones. Shouldn't they be more resourceful? I mean, Captain Rex would have done it this way. Any other clone would have figured, maybe if we can't kill it, we can feed it. And technically, aren't these clones supposed to be more innovative due to their instincts?
I think they definitely should be, but I think that, things are starting to become scarce. Food is becoming scarce, supplies are going to be scarce for them. So, I mean, when people start becoming desperate, they don't think very logically. So, I mean, I think that Hunter made a kind of foolish kind of rookie mistake. I think that had it been a different situation, possibly they would have handled it a lot better than having Omega basically save the day.
And I kind of think maybe they're out of their element because they've never had a commander. Now they've basically never had rules when they were fighting. So now they gotta kind of think more instead of just jumping into things. I mean, yeah, they had all those plans like the Boulder idea, but now there's no war to fight. They've gotta... I guess they kind of gotta learn to survive a different way now?
Yeah. I think that's definitely it. They're probably more used to fighting clankers and, the separatists and whatnot, but maybe beasts are something that, yes, they probably dealt with, but maybe that planet itself or perhaps just different kinds of creatures, they just haven't had the reason to run into them, except for like now it's really a matter of survival, and we're seeing that they're struggling with that. And I think that's just going to be something they're going to show more of as we go on in the season.
Right. I also kind of like the little thing that happened between Hunter and Wrecker during the first couple of minutes. Wrecker basically asks for seconds. He's then was kind of willing to take Omega's food, and then Hunter's got to explain to him, she's a young girl, she's still growing, she's not like us. Show some respect, don't take food out of her mouth when you've got enough.
Yeah, it's just these things that, again, they're not used to. I'm sure that it had it been any other time and Omega wasn't there, Hunter would have given Wrecker that extra portion. And that's another thing, Wrecker is a big part of this episode, and we haven't touched on that yet, but honestly, I think that's going to play on in upcoming episodes. That could be a scenario, especially with what Tech was trying to do also early on in the episode, trying to create that device.
Well, Wrecker is kind of like the older, less brainier young brother, so kind of... he is only 7 years old, basically. Or 10 years old. I can't remember how old they are. But, I think he's always been that kind of, had that mental disability. But, I think Omega's going to be a good influence on him. It's going to teach him to be more responsible than, almost kind of like what, I forget who said it. Chris said about Professor Wrecker.
Yeah, I think, either him or Clay, I'm not sure. One of them had said that. But yeah, I think that's probably something we'll hopefully see with Wrecker. What I'm concerned about is what's going to happen to his state. What I'm going to see with like the chip, and will it activate?
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Maybe that's why he becomes Professor Wrecker, because the chip makes him smarter.
I hope that's the only thing that happens. I would hate for him to turn on him and kind of pull a crosshair and say, "Good soldiers follow order," and choke them all out.
But I think the moment you were talking about was the little room that Wrecker makes for her in the rear gunner's cabin. Which, now that I think about it, that might not have been a good idea, because now they don't have their rear gun.
Yeah, I'm sure that maybe she'll be trained to maybe use it, but I think besides that, the gesture was very sweet, and I think that that's probably what they were going for more, for the fact that now she has her own, I guess you can call it, quarters for herself, to have her privacy and being able to not sleep on the floor next to that droid.
Right, and you also, I think I noticed that he also gave her his Tuca doll. I don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
I've got my brothers. I'm growing as a person, so I think you need this more than me.
Yeah, that's probably something that, just to keep her company, I think that would have been a sweet gesture to just do that. That way she has something to hold.
I've also noticed that the Kaminoans in this episode are a lot more worried because if they can't make new clones, they might be a bit screwed. Like, they'd be losing their jobs, so they're a bit worried, and I'd like to see what they can do. Maybe they're gonna make a new clone?
Something that I'm very curious to see, because, again, kind of what I was saying earlier, desperate times call for desperate measures, and the Kaminoans, they were in a good spot for many years. So now they're going to have to also adapt and see what can they create or what can they fabricate on their end to make it seem like, hey, we're still useful in the universe. Don't just count us out. They even said it, the Jango Fett DNA is starting to become more and more diluted, and they need to find just one piece of source. So I'm wondering, will Boba Fett make an appearance as well of some sorts, and maybe Crosshair crosses paths with him? And I don't know, what are we gonna? How are they going to try to replenish that DNA? I don't think they're gonna get it. I don't think they're gonna get it from like Crosshair, because yes, he's at the disposal right there, but they need something unaltered, or maybe even Omega. I don't know.
Or they could hunt down a Jedi, or maybe we could finally meet Cal Scarata in this episode. Or this series. The clone that supposedly saved all those clones and brought them to Mandalore and taught them the Mandalorian way. The guy that I think he created Alpha 17, or he saved Alpha 17 in the original timeline. If not, I also think Crosshair might be one of the first clone teachers, like Cody.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's definitely a possibility. He is a commander now. So, could he cross paths with Cody as well? Because, I know people are wanting to see Cody in this series, and this would be maybe one of the best ways to bring on Cody and have that kind of interaction. And maybe even them recall some things from whenever they were working together that maybe we didn't see off screen. So, that would be cool. Maybe they'll even talk about Rex.
Maybe. I also like the, you were gonna say something?
No. Go ahead.
Well, I also like the little thing between one of the soldiers and Crosshair, where he's got the morals, where Crosshair has the orders. The one guy kind of refuses to kill the civilians because why can't we just take them, question them, bring them back with us? They're not really a threat.
Right. Yeah, no, and to add on to your point there, that's where Crosshair even says it. It's like, do you want to know why I'm made leader? And then he proves his point. That's the difference between being human and being a clone. And that's definitely something that we see here, where it's like Crosshair is going to follow orders. That's part of his programming. He's going to do what he's told to do, and we're going to see maybe not just them, but maybe other, I guess you could say, regular recruits start having these doubts. But there are probably going to be others that are going to be like Crosshair, and they're going to either be intimidated and follow orders, or they're going to forget that they're even human and be more like a clone, I guess.
So basically like the evolution of the Stormtrooper from thinking civilian to mindless, brainwashed soldier. If you think about it. stormtroopers back in Empire or the original trilogy, they would kill people without thinking. I mean, that also happened with the First Order. But maybe this is the evolutional idea that they'll grow.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that this is the beginning of the end, I guess you could say, of compassion when it comes to stormtroopers and clones.
Exactly. I also like the Rampart, I believe his name is, the new Admiral Rampart, no longer General or Commander. So Tarkin's basically gathering up his team. Wasn't it you that said that Moon might have been Bogdan? That they were on? Someone said that the moon that they get trapped on might be Bogdan. From the Bounty Hunter games. Either that or just some unknown desolate moon. I mean, we didn't really get any confirmation from any of the clones where they were, so I also like
it just could have been a random.
It could have been a random moon, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't think it plays any relevance in the story anyway.
I also like the little joke that Tech made. I think it was a joke. He said, no critical systems were down, so we should be good. Bang! The capacitor goes down and they crash. Well, at least we still have life support.
Hey, that's what matters. As long as you're breathing and everything, that's what matters.
Yeah, but how long until that runs out?
Tech just kind of seems like the, I guess you could say, unworried technical guy that just like, hey, as long as I'm able to do what I gotta do, I'll be alright.
Yeah, but you still gotta keep the ship going. I mean, Echo can't be the only one worrying about this.
Yeah.
And I think that, that carefree attitude might, end up getting Tech in some hot water during one of the later episodes.
Yeah, it could very be, yeah.
Because
I mean, he may become anxious.
Maybe. I mean, I'm assuming these first few episodes are supposed to be, like, character development, like, transforming Clone Force 99 into a smarter Clone Force, giving them the tools that they're gonna need to survive in the new Empire. Then the rest is gonna focus more on their fight against the Empire.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I did notice you or Chris were claiming this was another filler episode.
I think that was Chris, yeah. In the chat, I think Chris had said that. To
But
me,
no.
it was a good episode.
It's more like a exactly a character development episode. It's like the first couple of minutes during a book. You can't speed up to the action without us at least learning about the characters, and I've said this many times in my book reviews. That's why some of the older Star Wars books, like I believe it was Red Harvest. It was a prequel to the Death Troopers story. They didn't really give us much on any of the characters. Just, oh, here's a student, here's a Jedi of the Architecture Corps. or Agriculture Corps, that's what it is. They're gonna fight, and that's the end of the story.
Right.
Here, they're taking the time to develop their characters because this is Dave Filoni. He is the one that made us understand a bit more about Jar Jar in the Clone Wars series. He gave Padme a bit more development than what the prequel trilogy gave us. And they made Anakin a better character. So, I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah, and I mean, that's Dave Filoni and all the things that he's done so far. I mean, episodes that aren't action-packed still serve a huge role in character development, and that's something that I've appreciated with the series, like all of them. Like, they may seem slow, but they're allowed to do that. That's what makes a show, because, I mean, you look at other shows as well, you know, just giving you an example here, The Walking Dead, it's a show that I enjoy, and there's some episodes that, you know, really you can fall asleep and not miss a thing, but there's always going to be those little moments here and there that, you know, you're going to get gold nuggets out of. And just like with anything, you know, even though something may seem slow or uninteresting, there's still something to appreciate from it.
Yeah, but there's a huge difference between Star Wars and The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, it just keeps on going without any end until I think I heard this year. And then,
Yeah.
they have way too much character development. Dave Filoni, on the other hand, found a way to develop their characters enough that we're still interested. And we still come back each week. The Walking Dead, they've basically put their series to death. I mean, I stopped watching, I think, season 7, right before the whole fight with Negan.
Right.
Because...
Yeah, but I said, I was just giving you an example.
I know. I'm just saying.
Still watch the show myself, so I could tell you, yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, there's too much of that, but, you know, as a show, you know, you need to have those kind of moments. And yeah, Dave Filoni does do just the right amount of development to just keep it interesting and still keep it moving along. It's something that I come to appreciate him and his work.
Can't wait to see what he could do with a movie someday.
That is a very big hope of my own as well. I mean, I think that, well, with the Mandalorian, you know, he's learning to do what, you know, live action. So I think that he's slowly getting there. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that maybe in, I don't know, 8 or 10 years, maybe a Star Wars movie made by him may be announced. I mean, who knows?
Maybe. I mean, he's got a lot of characters to bring back and develop. But, are we missing anything? I
mean, I think we're pretty good. I mean, kind of my final thoughts, and one thing that we didn't mention, but still part of my final thoughts, is that scene where with Crosshair and that other soldier where they're on the ship on the way to Onderon. I thought it was a really kind of callback to when Crosshair was questioning the regs, and he was like, if y'all are so good, and this is back in season 7, if y'all are so good, why did we get called in? Kind of like that same thing kind of being brought back to him when he was questioned about, you know, if you clones are so effective, why are we being basically drafted in to help? So I like how, you know, sometimes things come full circle, and you know, overall it was really good to see, you know, Crosshair, even though he's becoming darker and darker. We also see the other side of things with the Bad Batch, how they're learning to adapt and really incorporating Omega to the squad. I think that she's going to become pretty important to the way the squad is going to function now. So I think that it was a good episode. I really appreciate this episode, and I'm ready for the next one.
Agreed. Actually, for me, I actually called it pretty cute. I mean, the little things with Hunter and Wrecker and Omega learning to take care of each other, learning to trust each other was pretty cute. Tech and Echo are still at odds with each other, despite them having to work together to essentially keep their ship afloat. And you also notice the problems of being on their own. They're basically running out of supplies. They only had that one flux capacitor, capacitor, and things could go very wrong soon unless we end up in that one trailer that we keep on getting where they end up going to work for, as essentially bounty hunters or, smugglers. But, and where we supposedly meet Fennic San that we met in the Mandalorian. But, yeah, I found it cute. I also found it very dark with the original Stormtroopers versus the point of view of Crosshair. I also found it interesting that they pretty quickly transformed the barracks of the Clone Force 99 into a normal barracks, basically empty. And I also like the little moment where all the clones look back at we've lost Crosshair. This is we get a very sad moment with them where they realize he's probably never coming back, and they're all dealing with it their own way. And it was a bit touching how this all started because Omega grabbed his weapon case and thinking it was holding the capacitor, and it just brought us to one of the saddest scenes so far. That the Force really misses their brother, and I think with Hunter, he's relying on Omega for support, basically, trying to keep his team afloat, but also having to worry about her. And the other two are focusing on their work, and Wrecker is just trying to he's trying to help Omega compensate, and it's just Crosshair's gone. He may not come back, and it's just something they all have to accept. But honestly, I'm giving this episode an A+. I can't wait to see what they do next. Because we still haven't gotten any of the episode titles. So, yeah, that's my final thoughts. It was a really good episode. But, I think that's it. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the little notification bell for more videos. And, stay tuned for next week's video of episode 4. Any final words?
No, just a great episode. Fun.
Yeah. So,
Catch you guys.
What was that?
Can you hear me good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, it's always a pleasure. A little bit short notice, but always fun to talk Star Wars. And won't be here next week, but I'll be back in the week following to talk more Star Wars with this group.
Right. So, we'll see you guys next week. Chris will be taking his place until Jesus comes back. So yeah, have a great night, guys, and may the Force be with you always.